And they work together.
And they work together, and they can also become imbalanced. So I think a lot of mitochondrial energy metabolism is the bottlenecks that people can have is kind of like jammed up traffic. And a lot of times you can megadose something, and the main problem of megadosing that for anyone would be it would be imbalance with something else. But if you've got a blockage in that something else, now you've just got like a train wreck happening in the mitochondria because you're activating one pathway that has to flow through the next one where you had your blockage, and it's like that. So you can go online, for example, and find communities where people are raving about high-dose thiamine, and the RDA, the government recommended amount of thiamine to get is around 1.3 milligrams. There's people out there who are like, oh, everyone should be taking 2,000 milligrams per day. But I saw one case where this happened before I knew the person, but they had fatigue so bad that they couldn't get off the couch. And so she was self-rating her energy at 0. And a practitioner said, oh, you should really try this high-dose thiamine. So she went on 1,100 milligrams a day, so went 2,000, but big, right? And a lot of people get miracles out of this, and they are vocal. They make communities on Facebook, and so people get the idea that everyone who tries it is benefiting from it. But her energy did improve a little bit, but she developed a completely new motor dysfunction problem, unsteady gait. It just kept getting worse the whole time she was taking the thiamine. She had an existing problem with dizziness that got a lot worse. And a major issue for her was that she had to clear out the thiamine, but the mitochondrial testing that we did on her basically showed that it explained it because she had a block in the pathways that would be most sensitive to megadosing that supplement. And so winding that back and re-nourishing those other pathways helped her. I do think that a lot of people, if they're gonna go into the wild west of megadosing random supplements, should do their own testing of glucose, ketones, and lactate at home. A lot of people test their glucose. Not a lot of people test their lactate, but I'm 100% confident that woman, had the practitioner said, try the thiamine and see what it does to your lactate. And if it goes down, it's good, and if it goes up, it's bad. I think she would have stopped it after the first few days, and the new onset motor dysfunction never would have happened. And so maybe she wouldn't have done mitochondrial testing with me until months after that, but it wouldn't have been a big deal because she had this real-time indicator of mitochondrial dysfunction that she tested herself at home that showed her, oh, I'm trying this, out of left field thing. Let's see, am I getting a stress signal out of it, or am I getting the signal that my mitochondria are calming down or more happy with their function, which is really what lactate is telling you. And most people who do lactate testing do it in exercise. And what you see in exercise is when your body's under an incredible amount of stress, you see lactate levels go up in the blood. Halfway through a pro basketball game, lactate is through the roof, right? Well, if I take thiamine and the next day it looks like I'm halfway through the basketball game when I wake up, that's a sign that something is out of whack in my body, right? But to go back to if the perspective was you might need more thiamine, so you should try adding some nutritional yeast to the dishes that you want to impart a cheesy flavor to, which is what nutritional yeast tastes like, because nutritional yeast is really high in thiamine. Then that probably wouldn't have happened because the dose would have been a lot lower. She would have gradually gone into it much more gradually, but also whatever those blockages were would have the other nutrients assisting them, so the thiamine wouldn't be so out of balance. So it's not just that you absorb it better or whatever, it's also just the going food first really helps correct for errors that are a problem with your expertise. Warren Buffett once said that a diversified portfolio is great protection against ignorance. He said it doesn't really make sense if you know what you're doing, but if you don't know what you're doing, you really should diversify. And so that's what food does. Food is a diversified portfolio. And if you don't have the expertise to run around taking different things that you don't understand, if you don't understand the biochemical pathway of the thing you're megadosing, you are not a candidate. That's like buying an ETF and you don't even know what an ETF is. It's like give that to your financial advisor. And so I think that food first, pharma last is the food first part of that is really just a protection against. But I do have the expertise, and I still do food first because I know that my expertise in my own body is incomplete, and so I might know 1,000 times more than the average person about what thiamine does in the body, but thiamine's doing things in my body and I don't know what they are. So I'm not gonna assume I know everything just because I have top-notch expertise in the field.
Right. When you're talking about methylene blue and CoQ10 and the benefits on mitochondria, what's the mechanism? And are they similar? Are they interchangeable?
They are not similar and they're not interchangeable. So CoQ10 is, and asked me if you want me to go into even more detail, but if you extract energy from food and then you need to carry that energy through a pathway, CoQ10 is about 2/3 through that pathway, and it's like if you were going down a road and you had to take a shuttle across the river to get to your next destination, and then you go get on the next train or something like that. So CoQ10 is just part of the transport pathway as the electrons come through that are taken out of food to ultimately convert to ATP. Methylene blue is, if CoQ10 is like the main ferry, methylene blue is this guy running around waving his hands in the air. Oh, you know what methylene blue is like? It's like those fake